Ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Today we're working on this little Toro lawnmower that it looks like somebody beat me to. Now, I worked on this mower a few weeks ago, and I just got around to testing it today, and it stalled after running for a few minutes. And when I opened it up, I was kind of surprised at what I found. So all you people waiting for the go-kart, the motor's almost together. We've just about got her ready to go, and she'll probably be the next video. But for now, let's get started on the Toro. She was running pretty good in general, but it did have a little bit of a clatter noise that had me nervous, so I put it off to the side and figured I'd look at it another day. And the day finally came this morning when I ran it around, and it stalled after running for a few minutes. So the first thing I thought was, let's look at the ignition system. We know the carburetor's good. And when I opened it up, I actually looked at it for a minute and looked at a few things on it. And then I noticed this. You look, the gap's pretty big on one side and non-existent on the other. And the rattle noise, it turns out, was the coil banging back and forth when it was running at low RPM. So somebody took this apart, or maybe even the factory. I don't see any rust marks or anything where a bolt may have been here. It's entirely possible this motor shipped with only one screw. So we're going to go ahead and space that coil and put another screw in. But if you look, here, let me give you an example. Let's pull this screw out. You can see it looks a little different where the screw was, and on this side, it doesn't look like there was ever a screw. So I'm thinking the factory shipped this thing wrong. But we got some screws, we got some spare screws, and I'd like to thank Gary's in South Lake for the screws. He volunteered, he told me, buy me a soda in exchange for a couple of these screws. And I gave him a couple bucks. Sodas aren't cheap anymore, are they? Hey, sorry about that. I lost my light in the middle of everything. We're good to go again. Okay, to set the coil up and get the gap right, I've got a piece of paper folded over 8 times. And we're going to get it squared up and set in place. There you go. Now you can see the coil's nice and loose because it's not on the magnet. As we turn it, when it finds the magnet, it'll click into place, wherever the magnet is. And you're going to hit the stroke as you do it, unless you hit it from the back side, turning it the other way. You see now the coil is centered over the magnet, so it's holding its position. So now we're going to go ahead and tighten this down and be gentle on these nuts because they are kind of tiny. Now we're going to ease our paper out, have a look at our gap. That looks pretty good. So let's put the lid back on and test it. Oh yeah, I guess she's going. Okay, let's start her up. Okay, it works, but that's only a test. We need to take her out and run her for a few minutes and see what it does. Let's go test the lawnmower. Now, I couldn't make it to the end of that fence before without it stalling. I obviously don't use a push mower very often. shoot it up. We'll never know if the factory left that bolt off or if somebody tinkered with it before me. There were no marks on the coil to indicate that anybody took a bolt out of it. It looked like there'd never been a bolt there. The original owner told me that it ran okay, and then it started making a noise, and then he stopped using it. And when I got it, I rebuilt the carburetor and it ran, but it was still making a noise.